And we're live.
Yeah, we're live. Fantastic. I did try and be sneaky on you, but it didn't work, did it? So welcome to Brisbane Small Business. This is the Improving Profitability Show. I am Chitik Savaniga. I'm from the Profitable Small Business. And with me, we have Kevin Gammy, which everyone knows, the founder of BSB. So today we're focusing on finding your profit, and it may be more suited for businesses that are starting out or in the early years. But of course, if you've been in business for donkey's years, you can always, this is a good refresher to come back to if you've kind of forgotten about the numbers side of things. So just to mention, I would love for people to comment as well if we're watching live or even on replay. If you are watching live, make sure you accept the StreamYard thing so I can see who's commenting. So anyway, I get asked quite often, and I think, in fact, James asked on another show, what's the most common piece of advice that I give to small business owners? And it's really simple, actually. It's just basically take an interest in your numbers. Make time to look at your numbers. It's so common that people just completely dismiss it and kind of just stress about it at text time. But it's something that should be a habit that we review over the year. So Kevin, do you do that with your business as well?
Look, I'll confess, I don't think I look at them often enough. Okay.
No.
And that does cause some challenges because, from time to time I'm going, am I profitable? Other numbers that I should be looking at is, do I have a good conversion ratio, and a whole lot of other things. And, all of us, we get stuck doing the business and we forget to stop and, use our numbers as a really good feedback loop to, is what we're doing working?
Absolutely, it's so valuable. Most, I say most because there will be a few. Most people have an accounting software, right? Whether it's Xero or QuickBooks or whatever you use, and they all have that functionality of being able to see what your numbers are saying. But these are the kind of common responses that I get. It's like, well, I know the money's coming in, so why? I don't really need to bother looking at the numbers. The bank account's happy, so. And the other thing is, well, I have a bookkeeper and I have an accountant, and I pay them, so why should I look at it? They'll tell me if there's something that I need to look at. And in a way, yes, but it's your business. It's your responsibility. You should be on top of what your business performance is, and the only way you're going to do that is by looking at your numbers.
Absolutely. And a thing that I find as well for a lot of small business owners, and I've been guilty of this in the past too, they're scared to bill, right? So they'll do a job for a client, but they don't send the bill out straight away. And the longer it is between when the job's finished and when you send out the bill, the more time the client tends to take to pay. So then that exacerbates it as well, because you can be really, really busy and yet going broke.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, actually, because a lot of people forget that cash flow is so important for a small business. Like, being able to manage your cash flow just kind of highlights how well you're doing, and it kind of highlights your sustainability. So, and it's a really crucial point, like your profit does not equal your cash. So you may have, you may look at the profit and loss perhaps, but you've got to tie in what your cash balance is as well. So there's a lot of features in accounting softwares out there, or if you're not familiar with it, ask your bookkeeper or ask your accountant. There's people like me that love numbers and would be more than happy to explain these things to you.
Absolutely.
So how often at the moment are you looking at your numbers, Kevin?
Look, it probably is monthly, and I know that it should be weekly. I should be looking at, hey, what have I done this week activity-wise, and what has that produced, and understanding that. I'm not doing that at the moment. Particularly in my new business, I'm, building a lot of things, and so I'm not as active on all of the aspects of marketing as I need to be, or as I will be in another month's time, when all my collateral set up, my website set up, all those sort of things. But then if you've got a business that has stock, then you've got to worry about how long is the stock that you've got, how long is that going to last? So that you can make sure that you're not running out, because that'll give you a bad reputation with prospects and potential long-term partners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole heap of things that your reports can tell you, especially if you have, like you mentioned, inventory. Like if you've got a good inventory report, then you can monitor. Sorry, that's the kids. You can monitor like your supply chain and how quickly you need to order things and whatnot. But you don't even, like, if you just want to start somewhere, like, you can really go back to basics. Like, you don't need to know everything overnight. Like, just start with a small habit. Like, find where your profit and loss report is in your software. Like, just get used to having a look at it, because you'll start to see what your report is telling you. Like, obviously, your profit and loss will tell you what your sales are. But when you just look at one singular report, that doesn't really tell you anything. So if you're, looking at it weekly or monthly, you'll start to see, well, was this a good month or was it a bad month? Like, how did it compare to last month? How does it compare to this time last year? Like, a lot of businesses, especially in our group, would have a lot of seasonal sales. So like, understanding all that will really help you grow your business. And you won't know all that unless you look at the numbers.
So what would you say are the top top 3 numbers that you need to focus on? Or is it 3 or 5? Just your absolute top of the tree.
I've already mentioned cash. I think that's really important to make sure you do look at your cash. It's often forgotten, but it's so important to know that you're sustainable. You've got enough reserves. Like, you have got, if you're having a bad month, that you've got enough money in the bank that you can pay your suppliers or pay your staff. Like, that's crucial. Your profitability, so your profit margin, so that's your sales less all of your expenses. What is your profit margin? You can have a look at that. There's a lot of information out there. You can compare your profit margin to your competitors or their industry average. Like, they're really good, like, little metrics that you can use to say, well, how well am I actually doing? You don't have to just look at your business, just in your own little bubble. There's other things that you can look at with what your reports are showing. So yeah, cash, profit, and obviously sales. You want to see if that's improving. Another one that is often forgotten is expenses. People tend to not look at expenses because it's like almost a fear of seeing how much they're spending. But you need to know what you're spending in your business. You need to know what your break-even point. So, like, what is your base cost to run your business? You need to know that. So then, if you have got that spare capacity, then you can, really ramp up your marketing or ramp up ads or whatever it is that you want to, do for your business. There's I would say those to begin with: cash, sales, expenses, and profit margin would be a good starting point.
And with expenses, I guess I like to think of them in 3 categories. Okay. The first one are my fixed expenses. That's what I've got to pay out no matter what happens. If I make, $1 million of sales in a month, that'd be awesome. Or if I make no sales in a month, right, I'm still got these expenses. Yeah. So that would be your staff wages. That would be your rent. That would be, certain other insurances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then you've got discretionary, and they're the stuff that you can move up and down. Things like potential marketing expenditure and that sort of stuff. You could plan when you're buying marketing collateral, your pamphlets, your flyers, your business cards. You might be able to ramp up, different online campaigns and that sort of stuff. You may be able to take clients out to lunch and that sort of stuff. That's all stuff that you can choose to do or choose not to do. And then you've got your cost of goods sold. So you've got your direct costs that if I'm going to sell one dog bed, that's going to cost me this much, right? So I I get that. I'm from an accounting background, but sometimes it's important to go back and have a quick look at, hey, where is the mix of these things? Where are they? So that then I can start working backwards and control the cash flow.
Yes, absolutely. Cash flow and then your budgeting, all of that is captured within, knowing what your expenses are. Cost of goods sold. Oh gosh, I could talk for an hour on that stuff. So I will probably touch on that on another show. But it's so important I think that's one of the most missed things, like really understanding what your cost of goods sold are. Because when I've worked with clients, there's so many things that have been missed out of that section. So if you don't know what your cost of goods sold, your cost of goods are, how do you know whether you're retailing your product at the right level? Obviously, there's lots of other things involved in there, but really understanding how much it costs to get your product to the customer is a huge thing that is often missed.
Cool. Look, hey, this has been really cool introduction to help us go, hey, to find our lost profit, we need to understand what it should be. And so the 5 things that you said to consider were your cash flow, your profit margins, your sales, your wages, and then your expenditure.
Yeah. So when I mentioned cash flow, obviously you want to be able to for a sustainable business, you want to be able to keep your staff on board and pay them properly and pay all your suppliers. And so, yeah, you need to know what those numbers are and reviewing them monthly. Then it becomes a habit, and it becomes so familiar that when you do find the time to look at them, it's not a big task. It's just something that you can kind of do over and over, and you can spot things really quickly because you'll see things that will stand out.
Absolutely. Hey, great show.
Thank you, Kevin. This is great. I hope people have found that useful today.
So if you do have questions, reach out to Jachixa. For as long as I've known you, still hard to say.
Okay, I'm used to it.
Thanks very much for your help today. As I said, think about the numbers as, your cash and cash flow, your profit margins, your sales, your wages, and then your expenditure. And you'll be, well down the track to building a profitable business. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, obviously leave them in the comments and I will come back and answer, or find me in the directory. There's a great resource there. So you can find me, message me, and I will do my best to help.